Hi, this is Blaine. Welcome back to another episode of Energy Works. Today it's a short solo episode with just me, and I'm doing this one in follow-up to an episode I did 2 episodes ago, which was on sleep. And in that episode, if you haven't listened to it yet or watched it yet on YouTube, I heavily discussed our circadian rhythms, our natural rhythm that we have in our body alongside the planet and the sun and everything that drives us on our hormones is this circadian rhythm. And I mentioned in that episode that while this many of these concepts that we talk about on energy work are from traditional Chinese medicine and are thousands of years old, modern science, current science, is finding so much of it to be true and accurate because thousands of years ago, the doctors and the observers were just observing us, observing animals, observing the planet, closely tuning in to the rhythms and patterns and what was in balance and then what was out of balance. And then when something was out of balance, eventually that was disease, that was sickness. And so they needed to understand what balance looked like and what balance was so they could find out of balance and bring it back in balance as they were healing people, the healers. And now there are physicians, doctors, researchers called circadian biologists, and they understand from their scientific methodology that our organs there are times of day that our organs are at their peak, and there are organs that are at, I guess you could say the opposite is peak rest. The organs are resting, or the organs are at the highest functioning. They're going to function all day, and they do that at the same time every single day. And these organs have an order. They have a flow. They take turns who is most active and sucking up the most energy and who is least active and consuming the least energy. And in a 24-hour day, from the TCM perspective, we have 12 meridians that are supporting our organs, and they have a flow. It's called the chi flow, this chi energetic flow, where throughout a 24-hour day, there's an order. Like I said, an order of what is peak and what is not. So I mentioned in the sleep episode, specifically liver. 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. is liver time, and for the purpose of our sleep and healing and our body being asleep so it can do the healing from 3 to 5, that's really impactful. From 1 to 3, that is really impactful because then we have 3 to 5 and then we wake up. And so we're going to dig deeper into the entire 24-hour flow for the purpose of you maybe thinking a little bit about how you structure your day currently and maybe some changes in focus. Even if just in your mind you have a little bit of focus to what you're doing, that can be a big energetic shift to you. In Eden Energy Medicine, where those of us in energy medicine yoga have studied, we trace our meridians. So these 12 meridians, we trace them every day, and we trace them in a particular order. And this order is the chi flow. And so when you learn how to trace your meridians, this is the structure by which you learn to trace what you trace when. And you start with what time of day it is. So if you decide it's 12:30 in the afternoon, not at night, it's 12:30 in the afternoon, and you decide that you are going to trace your meridians, that is the time that heart is the most active. And so that's where you'll start. You'll start with heart, and then you'll go all the way through the flow, and then you'll end with heart. And so you'll do heart 2 times. At the beginning and at the end, because you are in your day at that exact time that heart is at its peak. It's the organ that's at its peak of activity. Whereas if you decided to trace them at, say, 9 o'clock at night, then you would start and end with triple warmer because that is the one that is at its peak at that time. And the energy of triple warmer is more of this go to bed energy, which we'll talk about. The energy of heart is this peak of the day energy. So I'm just going to read through. The camera's on. Sometimes I don't think as well. So I'm going to use my notes here and read through. And I'm going to start reading at 5 a.m. because as I explain the structure of this, I'm going to have it in 3 chunks, and I'm going to start at 5 a.m. And so we'll start at 5 a.m. So 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. is large intestine. 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. is stomach. 9 to 11 is spleen. 11 to 1 is heart. 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. is small intestine. 3 to 5 is bladder. 5 to 7 is kidney. 7 to 9 is pericardium, which is the lining of the heart. 9 to 11 is triple warmer. 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. is gallbladder. So now we're back at 1 a.m. in the morning. 1 to 3 is liver. 3 to 5 is lungs. And then we're back at 5 a.m., which is the large intestine. And in the old days, in traditional Chinese medicine, the doctor would, if the doctor wanted to examine that organ, the doctor would see you at that time, come to your home and have that time with you. So if you were having trouble, maybe I'm trying to think of something at, gallbladder time. If the doctor wanted to examine your gallbladder, then the doctor might show up at 12:30 at night to examine your gallbladder because the doctor wanted to see what's happening with your gallbladder when it is supposed to be at its peak time. So it really was the framework by which diagnosing imbalances and healing occurred. And Chinese medicine is about treating the causes, not the symptoms, the root cause and not the symptoms. And so while a patient could be short of breath and have a lung problem, it might actually be the spleen that is producing the phlegm that is getting in the lungs and producing the symptom of the lung problem. And so to check out spleen, then the physician would go to, or I say physician, the doctor, then whatever it was called back then, the healer, would go during spleen time, come to your home and take care of you and investigate your spleen to see what was going on, because maybe the lung problem is really because of the spleen. That is how this all works. And so the framework I want to talk through this with you is taking 3 8-hour chunks, starting at 5 a.m. because that is when you get up. In traditional Chinese medicine is 5 a.m. It's actually when I get up 7 days a week. I get up at 5 a.m. And so that time of day, or this beginning of this 8 hours, we'll call drive. So it's drive time. It's you get up and you go. You have the highest qi for the first 8 hours of the day starting at 5 a.m. 5 a.m. to 1 p.m. is your peak energy time, your peak qi time. That is when you want to get the most done. So that's drive. And then at 1, you move into cruise. Cruise time is 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. And so you've done all this hard work already, and you're shifting into cruise control, which doesn't mean you're not doing anything. You're just not exerting the same amount of energy, because starting then at 9 p.m., then you're going to move into snooze time. And snooze time is going to be 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. So we have drive, we have cruise, and we have snooze. And that is our 3 chunks. And so when we wake up in the morning, we are coming out of yin into yang. And where our peak yang time is going to be as we're getting closer and closer to 1 p.m. And then we cross 1 p.m. into cruise time, and we start winding down. Our yang starts to transition back into yin. So we go from big awake time into slow down and get ready for bedtime. And then we have 9 p.m. when we get back, we're switching into yin time, which we keep until 5 a.m. And then we rise back up and we're in drive. Drive, cruise, snooze. We'll start with drive time, which is 5 a.m. to 1 p.m. And 5 a.m. is large intestine time. You get up, you work your large intestine, you poop, and it's the time that you exercise and you hydrate. Large intestine is called the cleaner. And so you've been in bed, you've been still for hopefully 8 hours. And so now at 5 a.m., it's time to get going, to get up, to move your bowels, to hydrate, to exercise. When you were sleeping, it's like you've been closed all day. And for the people who sleep through this time, this 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. time, it's like trying to clean your house, but your doors are closed and your windows are closed and you can't have any fresh air. And you're trying to like dust and vacuum and clean and there's trash and none of it can move out because you haven't allowed the air, the breathing, the moving. And so it's one of the reasons why getting up at 5 a.m. is important, because it's the cleaner, it's the airing, everything is happening, so you don't want to sleep through that time. So large intestine, 5 to 7. 7 to 9 is stomach, and that's when you have a mindful, nutritious breakfast. And in your mind, you're setting up for a peaceful day. You are bringing peace into your energy, and you're thinking about your day, and you get yourself set at that time. 9 to 11 is spleen. Spleen is the builder, and that is the most active, productive time. Your business, your hard work, your tasks, the things that you want to do, you do those first. You get the really hard stuff out of the way. Energetically, that is the time to be super productive and get her done. 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. spleen. And then 11 to 1 is heart time. Heart is called the emperor. Heart is your most important organ. And you take a chi break at 11. So you've been working hard. You've been quite productive from 5 a.m. to 11 a.m. And now you step back and take a break. It's time to maybe do some stretching, do a little walk, maybe some breath work, some Tai Chi. And journaling is great at this time from 11 to 1 because it's heart-centered. Now that you've done all this do kind of mind-centered, checking off my boxes on my list, you've done all that, and now you sit back in heart time, have a little bit of movement, a little bit of a break, and you check in. What does the heart really want? Am I doing the things that are supportive of my heart's desires? And it's a great time to brainstorm ideas. And so get out your journal, do your brainstorming, do some planning ahead. All of that between 11 to 1 is great time. So that's drive time, 5 a.m. to 1 p.m. Large intestine, stomach, spleen, and heart. Exercise, hydrate, poop, have a nutritious breakfast, get a bunch of productivity work done, and then sit back, take a break, listen to your heart, tune in, and you're starting to shift into cruise time. So drive time is done. Cruise time is 1 p.m. to 9 p.m., And the yang peaks at midday, and you'll start to shift down to yin. So 1 to 3 p.m. is small intestine, and that's when you have your meal, your lunch. It is a mindful meal, and when we're talking about the whole circadian rhythm, small intestine time is when you're setting yourself up for a good night's sleep. And I know that sounds weird. You're like, well, how at 1 o'clock does that have to do with my night's sleep? But this is the time that you have your midday meal and you're mindful about consuming nutritious food, and your body is shifting from yang to yin. So from super hyper busy time, it's the time you start to downshift your gear into nighttime. So if you mess this up now, it's going to affect your sleep at the end of the day. So 1 to 3, eat, be mindful, and start to make decisions about how you're going to spend your time for the rest of the day when you're in this cruise time. 3 to 5 is bladder time. And bladder, this is cruise time. You do hold quite a bit of your chi in your bladder. And so think of this as cruise control. You're still working, you're still being productive, but it's not as fierce as it was earlier in the day when you were in this more of a peak chi time. This is cruise control time. So this is the time that you want to do your tasks that you've done them a lot. They don't take too much energy from you. They're routine tasks. Save those that don't take a lot of brain power for your 3 to 5 p.m. time, and don't do those in the morning. And then 5 p.m. to 7 p.m., the kidney time. Kidney time is the perfect balance between rest and action. So you are finding this, and it's the time that it's good to do your second break and maybe, again, do some yoga, do a walk, do some Tai Chi, do some breath work as you're shifting into the evening. And this is also the time that you should change clothes for your shift. Before your shift into evening. Before I studied Chinese medicine at all, and I would get up and, go into an office and do my work, I remember it was such a big deal to me when I walked in the door after work to take off my work clothes and put on different clothes. I felt a very noticeable energy shift when I took off my work clothes and put on my comfortable clothes, whatever I was going to wear for the rest of the day. I had to change clothes. I felt not right if I didn't change out on my work clothes. And it's so interesting to me now, many decades later, that I study Chinese medicine, and that's literally written down as what you're supposed to do at this kidney time from 5 to 7 is change clothes. This is the time you start shifting into doing your hobby. So whatever you love to do that's not your job, it's not your work, it's not how you make money, it's not what other people expect of you, it is do your hobby time. And the kidney is your fountain of youth. And so this is your fun, your joy, your hobby. As we shift into the next 2-hour block, which is pericardium from 7 to 9, which is circulation sex. That's what we call it in Eden Energy Medicine. We call it circulation sex, like SEX. It is also in other traditions called pericardium, the lining of the heart. It's the heart protector. It's the sac, the lining of the heart. It is when you do the business of your soul. So as you're moving from this kidney time from 5 to 7 into your hobby time, into your 7 to 9, your pericardium time, that is the business of the soul. It is the joy. You have a light dinner at this time. In this tradition, breakfast and lunch are much larger meals. Dinner is a much lighter meal. So 7 to 9, you have a lighter dinner. You maybe have a romantic dinner. You have time with your romantic partner or with other people you love. It's a wonderful time to have sex. And it's a time for no devices. Be off the electronic devices because you're winding down for bed. And so you don't want the electronics. And that is how we close cruise time, is at 9 p.m. So we had our drive time from 5 a.m. to 1 p.m. We have our cruise time from 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. And now we have snooze time, which is 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. And so yin has been building momentum in these evening hours. Now from 9 to 11 is triple warmer, is what we call it in the Eden energy medicine tradition and other traditions. It's called that. It is also sometimes called Sanjiao, J-A-J-I-A-O, Sanjiao. It is also called. And this energy triple warmer is called the ferryman, like Ferryman, ferryman. Ferries you off to sleep. So you get on the ferry, which takes you into the land of sleep. It's also a good time for sex up until 9:30. And so this is the part that people, I think, struggle with because, going to bed at 9 p.m. and getting up at 5 p.m., I would say is not normal for many people in the West. However, the more you push, 10 p.m., 11 p.m., then as we've discussed, you're getting up at 5. So you are compromising how good you are going to feel when it's time to get up at 5. Or if you go to bed late and get up late, then all of that cleaning that your body does from 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. isn't going to be happening, the physical cleaning of the body, because you're sleeping through it. And so I invite you, if you are rolling your eyes at me right now about going to bed at 9, just try to nudge your bedtime a little earlier, a little at a time. Get off the devices, try to nudge yourself to bed, because there's this downstream effect of everything that's happening that your body's not getting to do, because you are violating the natural rhythm, the circadian rhythm of your organs. So sleep time, going to bed, triple warmer, 9 to 11. From 11 to 1 is gallbladder. And gallbladder is called the coach. And so the coach is getting ready to show up at 11. But the coach is counting on you going to bed at 9, so coach can be ready at 11. And so the more that you delay going to bed, the less ready the coach is. And the coach is where pain management and recovery happens. I am an athlete. It's one of the reasons why I follow all of this, because I put my body through a lot. So I need, in gallbladder time, from 11 to 1 to be dead asleep, so that the physical recovery and pain management activities of my body can happen to the absolute best of their abilities. From an energetic perspective, all of those good intentions that you have become more likely to happen if gallbladder gets the time to do its work from 11 to 1. It is where the motivation to be your best self comes. That's why it's called the coach. And so if you're one of those people who is often saying like, oh my gosh, like I want to do this, but I'm not doing it, or I promise myself I'm going to do it, but then I don't do it, you're not following through on your good intentions. You're not finding the motivation to do your good intentions. This is the time, 11 to 1, that you want to be deep asleep. So gallbladder is doing its work physically and energetically to support your intentions and your motivation. 1 to 3 is liver, It's the general. It's the most important deep sleep time. It is where the detox happens, the cleansing happens, and liver is called the general because it's like the army of your life force energy is coming from liver. And so you want the army of your life force energy showing up and being there for you and fighting for you and supporting you. And if you're waking up or not sleeping or the liver isn't getting the chance to do what it needs to do, then the general can't do its job and the army of your life force energy will not be there for you. And then last, lungs from 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. back when we started. Lungs is called the knight, like Knight, your knight in shining armor, your knight. It is the lungs are your contact with the world energetically, right? You breathe in from the world, you exhale out to the world. You breathe in from the world, you exhale out to the world. And so lungs are your interface. And how do you stay true to yourself when you're in the world, when you're interacting with the world? It is your healthy, balanced lung function. This is me. This is true to myself. I am not getting discombobulated and confused and distracted by the other things that are happening in the world and losing myself. This is your knight in shining armor that holds and protects what is true to you and what you really care about so that you can show up for it. So then that's the end of snooze time. Now we're back at 5 a.m. and we go to drive time. Drive, cruise, snooze. Drive, cruise, snooze. That is the 8-hour chunks. And I will wrap it up there. I'll just say that if all of this is like, whoa, a really simple thing you can do is just think about the organ. If you've taken notes, or you can look this up, this is all available on the internet, the 24-hour chi cycle. If it is noon, that is heart time. Just pause and think about your heart at that time. That's all you need to do, right? As you're starting to move through this and it maybe starts to seep into your consciousness, this awareness that your organs and your biological rhythms are happening in a certain way, and there are things that you can do to support them. So there's the 24-hour chi cycle. If you have any comments, I would love if you typed them in, and I will see you next time on Energy Works.